The United States has come up with a new idea for people who want to sell products to Americans, which is they're going to charge a membership fee. If anyone wants to do business with the United States, the Minister of Commerce has come up with a brand new idea, something no other country has ever done before. He basically said, since you all have to rely on me anyway, I'll just charge a membership fee then. That's it. They're going to start charging Americans a tax? Wow, when it comes to subscription fees, no one can beat the United States. Seriously, this is like a national level membership fee. You can help support today's valuable information by scanning this QR code, or just click the subscribe button for us. Just give it a click. Now, let's get into it. Before we talk about the United States charging a membership fee, we need to go back a bit. The U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, said that President Donald Trump had a policy not to tax Americans who earn less than $150,000 a year. And that's actually the majority of people in the United States, since most individuals typically make less than $150,000. For every $1, you still have to pay tax, which is already over $10,000 a year, which is a lot. With this policy, the Secretary of Commerce said that when people don't have to pay taxes, right, they can use that money to buy other things. They could go buy a car, get a new phone, whatever they want, really, because we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars that would have gone to taxes. So this should stimulate more consumer spending. And when people shop more, it boosts GDP and trade as well, making the country even more prosperous. But according to data from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, or CRFB, they reported that if the United States stopped collecting taxes from people earning less than $150,000, the government would lose about $10 to $15 trillion a year. This figure represents lost revenue equal to about 2.5 to 4% of the country's GDP, which is a huge amount for America. And there are also projections that if the government loses this much revenue, where would they get the money to replace it? They would have to borrow more, which means borrowing from the global economy again. This would cause the United States to accumulate even more debt. Now, this chart from the CRFB shows that if Donald Trump were to go all in and fully implement the policy of not taxing anyone earning less than $150,000, it would cause the U.S. public debt. By 2035, it would rise to 160% of GDP. But if only some parts of the policy are implemented, not going all the way, then by 2035, public debt would increase to 145% of GDP. However, if there are no changes to the law at all, in the next 10 years, public debt might decrease slightly to just 118% of GDP. According to these figures, Harvard's Gina Raimondo, the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, said, "That's all right. For the losses we've incurred, let's just find someone else to pay for them, because the United States is the world's buyer. We buy everything. We're the biggest customer. Everyone depends on us. Everyone needs us. Think about it. Between the buyer and the seller, who's more important? So let's have those who want to sell to us pay instead. Pay the price." Members, please listen to the audio.
Who is better, the repairman or the one who keeps things running and operating smoothly? We all stand at the large mall, and the polite gentleman handled a payment.
And the reason why the United States has come up with policies or ideas about charging membership fees to any country that wants to sell goods to the U.S. is because the U.S. government budget is running a huge deficit. The U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Batson, even came out and said himself that he's never seen a deficit this big before. The United States is a country with a lot of expenses because it is a large country, right? The Congressional Budget Office reports that the necessary or fixed costs of the United States each year amount to $4.1 trillion. The biggest chunk goes to things like Medicare, public welfare, and health-related benefits for the people. These expenses exceed the revenue, which is why the U.S. government budget has accumulated a deficit of $1.15 trillion. And this number isn't even for the whole year. But this is just for the start of the 2025 fiscal year, which began in October 2024. The United States starts its fiscal year every October, so if you count from October up to now, that's just 5 months. In only 5 months, the deficit has already reached $1.15 trillion. If you break that number down by day, take 1.15 trillion over 5 months and divide it by the number of days, it means the US government is running a daily budget deficit of $8 billion. And if we narrow the scope even further to make it clearer, just how big is the deficit? Take February alone, the US government ran a budget deficit of $307 million in just that 1 month. Where does this number come from? It comes from the total government spending in February, which was $603 billion, minus the revenue, which mainly comes from taxes, totaling $296 billion. So when you subtract it, you get a deficit of $307 billion in just 1 month. This means that the US government is basically running the country with debt that exceeds the revenue it collects from taxes. In other words, if Donald Trump decides not to raise taxes again, it's going to be a real risk because the government's revenue will drop significantly. And like I said, if tax revenue drops a lot, right? And if they can't collect membership fees or anything like that, let's say, then they'll have to borrow money. But borrowing more comes with what's called a debt burden. Simply put, it means very high interest payments. Right now, the United States is already paying a lot in interest. According to Foundation magazine, the US has seen its public debt interest burden increase every year, and it's been rising sharply since COVID. In 2020, the United States had interest payments from public debt that $345 billion, but that's actually low compared to the following years. In 2021, it was $352 billion just in interest. In 2022, $475 billion. In 2023, $659 billion. In 2024, the total interest for the whole year is $882 billion. And for 2025, just in the first 5 months of the fiscal year, the interest payments already total $390 billion and $6 million. Which is $46 billion more than the same period last year. Looks like we really need to help America out. We'll have to wait and see. If any government is interested in signing up for a membership with the United States,